Namaste, dear children. How are you all? Welcome back to your online class of social science. So, as we were doing chapter number 1 of political science, that is Indian Constitution. So, we will continue with our explanation of that why does a country need a constitution? In the last video, we have done a small introduction of this chapter wherein we have read that what is a constitution, what are basic rules. This is what we have done, and we have also done that what all we are going to study in this chapter. We have seen all the topics. So let's continue with our topic that why does a country need a constitution? What is the need of a constitution? We have done this first point wherein we read that the Constitution lays out those ideals, those fundamental principles which the citizen of a country aspire for. Means what the citizen of the country want, what they aspire, the Constitution, it mentions about those principles or those ideals. Now we will study about the story of Nepal, which will support this point that the constitution actually contains those ideals which the citizens of the country aspire for. I already gave you the homework to read about this story and I hope you have read it. So I will explain the story. So in this story we will see that how Nepal, which was earlier a monarchy, shifted to democracy. There was one king called King Gyanendra. Before King Gyanendra, his father was ruling because there was monarchy. And what was monarchy? Monarchy is that the king or the queen rules. So the rule of king or the queen is called monarchy. So the father of Gyanendra, he was able to establish certain democratic system in the country. Although it was monarchy only, but certain democratic systems were established in Nepal before 1990. But when King Gyanendra came into power, he took away all those democratic setup which was established in 1990. He took away all those democratic setup. Now, because those democratic setups were being overruled by King Gyanendra, it led to protests. People started protesting. People, that is the Maoist, the army and citizens, they all protested. Maoist, you can, as of now, you can understand that it is a political party, or we can say it is a system in Nepal which consists of those people who are against the rule of king or who are against this monarchy, or we can say these feudal forces. They want democratic type of government wherein we can say that they actually wanted, Maoists wanted that the government should be established by the people and not by the king. It should not be under the control of king. So Maoists, army, citizens, all these people protested against King Gyanendra because he took away all the democratic setup which was established in 1990. Then finally what happened, this people's struggle continued, and the struggle was for democracy, and it reached to its peak in 2006. And then finally in 2008, King Gyanendra bowed down and he declared that okay, the monarchy is abolished and Nepal will become a democracy. So in 2008, Nepal became a democracy and monarchy was demolished. Then when monarchy was demolished and democracy came, so a new system of government has come. Now the Nepal, they wrote a new constitution for democracy, and this constitution, the final constitution, was made in 2015, the recent one and the final one, with lots of changes, as lots and lots of rules were changed in this. Basically we can say the constitutive rules were changed. What is constitutive rules? Means the fundamental rules or the main components of the constitution, all those were changed, and a new constitution which had the democratic principles was adopted by Nepal in 2015. Now, if you get a question that why there was a protest in Nepal, or why did the people wrote a new constitution, You will say the protest in Nepal was because people wanted democracy and they wanted to demolish monarchy. And why did the people want a new constitution then? They wanted a new constitution because the constitution is the one which reflects the ideals of a country that its people want. We have just studied this point 1 na, that constitution represents or reflects those ideals which its citizens aspire for. So here also the constitution should reflect the ideals of the country that they wanted Nepal to be. Means the people of Nepal wanted democracy. So the constitution should reflect this idea of democracy in the constitution. So that is why the new constitution was adopted by Nepal in 2015. So summarizing this story, Nepal was monarchy, it shifted to democracy, and because of this there was a need to change all its constitutive rules. Constitutive means the basic rules or the fundamental rules, or we can say the major components of the constitutions were changed. So this example of Nepal supports our point number 1, that why do we need constitution. Okay, then second point, that what is the purpose of constitution or why do we need constitution, is that it defines the nature of country's political system. Constitution is also needed to know about the country's political system, means whether the country is under the rule of dictator or it is a monarchy or it is a democracy. So to know about the political system of the country, we need constitution. So the purpose of constitution is to define what kind of political structure is there in the country. Example, Nepal, which was earlier a monarchy and it was under the control of king, but later on it shifted to democracy. So a new constitution was made and the new constitution reflected that it is a democracy now. So the political structure was of democracy. Also, I would like to highlight that in democratic countries, what happens, that constitution plays a very important role. Constitution plays a very crucial role in the democratic countries. How? Because you know that the leaders in democratic countries, they are elected by the people, right? And sometimes what can happen, that these leaders may misuse their power. You agree with this? That sometimes what happens, the leaders which we choose, sometimes they can exercise their power, or we can say they can misuse their power, and because of this what will happen, that the main purpose of democracy will not be served. So that is why the constitution provides us certain safeguards against the misuse of authority by these leaders. So we can say that the constitution, it will provide us some safeguards, some protection against the misuse of authority. And this point is supported by one of the story in your book, that is the classroom story. Now what happened in the classroom story, that you will read it when you will see your PDF. You should read about this. The classroom story says that there is one class monitor and the class teacher has to go for some important urgent work. So the class was minded by the class monitor. But class monitor, now he had the power. Then what he did, he misused his power and he blames one of the student for talking, and he said that I will tell the teacher that you were talking and you were creating noise in the class. But actually that student did not do anything, and he was saying that what I did, why you will tell the teacher that I was disturbing, I am not doing anything. So he said, the class monitor said, I have this power and now I will ask the teacher and to punish you because you were disturbing the class. And when the teacher came, he said that ma'am, he was disturbing the class. And then the teacher said that today you will do stay back and you will write 100 times in your notebook that you will not disturb the class again. So the punishment was given to that. So to avoid that misuse of authority, our constitution gives some safeguards, and those safeguards are in the form of fundamental rights. We citizens, we have certain rights, certain essential rights which are called the fundamental rights, and they act as a safeguard or the protective layer against the misuse of authority by the government people. Fine. Then the next important function of our constitution is that it ensures that the majority group do not dominate over the minority group. This is also a very important function or the purpose of constitution, that it ensures that the majority group or the powerful group should not dominate over the other group, or we can say over the minority group, because this may happen. For this again we have the example in your book. There is one more story wherein what happens that the boys in the class, they say that we will play cricket, but then the girl says that no, let's play basketball today. It will be for a change, we should play basketball today, आज cricket नहीं खेलते हैं. Then the boys said that okay, the teacher will decide, and then teacher say okay, we can have votes. So all the this problem was settled down through the show of hands, and ultimately what happened, that girls knew that boys are in majority, so more votes will be for cricket, and ultimately cricket will be played. So the girl says that we always have to do whatever the boys want because they are in majority, right? Then so this story tells us that herein those people who are numerically larger in population, that is the majority, they may undermine the interest of minority, but this should not happen, and the constitution, it provides certain safeguards against this as well. It means that there should be no tyranny of majority. Now what is tyranny? Tyranny, we can say it is a unjust rule or a cruel rule. We can say the atyachar, ki the majority people, they should not be unjust or they should not be cruel towards the other group, that is the minority group. So constitution also prevent this tyranny or this domination of majority over the minority. Okay. Then the last function or the purpose of our constitution is that it save us from ourselves. Now this is also very important. You will say that what is it, how it can save us from ourselves. This may sound strange, but this is important, that the constitution at times helps us to save us from ourselves, because at times it may happen that we take some hasty decisions and that may go against the larger interest. Sometimes maybe we are not we are not in a good mood, or we can say we get so much frustrated that because of this frustration we may take certain decisions which are not in the interest of a larger society. Like for example, if you see that there is lots of party politics going in our country, the political parties are not very transparent or very responsible, and there is the caste politics and party politics going on in the country. So one may feel very frustrated because of these political parties, and one may feel like we should have dictatorship, and that dictatorship will help us to do away with all these party politics things which is going in our country. But then what will happen? Is it good? In short run, it is good कि ठीक है, dictator will come and he will do away with this party politics, but in the long run it will not be good. Everyone knows, we will imagine about that Germany, Nazi, what happened, what Hitler did there in Germany. So obviously dictatorship is not good. So at times when we feel frustrated, we may take certain step which is not in our interest, which is not in the interest of a larger group. So that is why the constitution provides us from ourselves. How? Because there are certain basic structure of the constitution, certain basic provisions of the constitution which cannot be changed. Okay, certain basic features of the constitution, they cannot be changed. And we always say that a good constitution, it does not allow these whims or these frustration feelings to change its basic structure. We cannot say that in a night because we are feeling frustrated because of all this, and overnight what happened, that the country changes from democracy to monarchy or to dictatorship. It will not happen, because the basic structure of constitution cannot be changed. So herein the constitution saved us from ourselves, from our frustration, from our gussa, right? For this also there is one story given, you can read about it. Then we have the next topic, which is that what are the key features of our constitution. Now, if we talk about the key features of our constitution, before this you should understand certain history of making of our constitution. You all know that there was Indian national movement which was going on during the British rule, and our people were fighting, our freedom fighters, they were our nationalists, they were fighting to get the freedom. And then there was a constituent assembly which was established in 1946, which was given the task to frame the Constitution of India, and it took around 3 years to complete our constitution. And the father of our Indian constitution is, yes, B.R. Ambedkar. And we can say the constituent assembly which was made to draft the Indian constitution, it had so many people from different backgrounds. And when the people were making this constitution, they had to take up all the things which were there in the country, like we have different language speaking people, different religions, different people having different cultures. All the things were taken into account. And also there was partition which just happened in 1947, and there was a very pathetic situation which was going in India. So all these issues, they played on the minds of the members of Constituent Assembly when they were drafting the Indian Constitution. And because of this, they kept those features in our constitution which will help Indians to live together with unity. Okay, so this was the background. You can remember the history of constitution as in there was Constituent Assembly established in 1946. Why it was established? To frame the Indian constitution. Who was the father? Who is the father of our Indian constitution? B.R. Ambedkar is the father. This is the history, and it took around 3 years to make our constitution, to frame our constitution. Then let's talk about the key features. Number one feature is federalism. Now, what is federalism? The simple meaning of federalism is division of powers. What is the simple meaning? Division of power is federalism. Now, that power is divided among whom? There is the existence of more than one level of government. Means the power has been divided between different levels of government, or we say between different tiers of government, and those tiers are central government, state government and local government. We have 3 tiers in our country, and most of the countries in the world, if they are federal, if they are following federalism, they have 2 tiers, that is central and the state. But in India we have 3 tiers, that is center, state and local. Center, what it do? The central government, it look after those issues which are of national importance. National importance means which needs uniformity and which are important for whole of the nation. Example, it looks the foreign affairs. Then we can say it looks after the defense. Okay, it see our defense sector, it looks after the foreign affairs, all the communication which is done on the international level, the international agreements which are signed. So all those national issues are handled by central government. If we talk about state government, it handles the day-to-day administration which are related to their state. Then there is one more level, that is local. And what does this local do? It is generally concerned with the rural and urban areas. In rural we have panchayats, in urban we have municipalities. So they work at the grassroots level and they are directly connected with the general public who are living in the villages if we talk about panchayats, and who are living in the cities if we talk about municipalities. And the center, state and local, how they get their authority or how they get their power, it is given by the constitution. So what is the power of central government or what is the power of state government? All this is written in our constitution. So they draw their authority from constitution. So federalism समझ में आया, that division of power between different levels of government, that is central, state and local. This is what you have to write. The next one is parliamentary form of government. Parliamentary form of government, what does it mean? It simply means that there is a government wherein there are elected representatives, and those elected representatives, they are chosen by the people directly through elections, through voting, and this is called universal adult suffrage, that all those people who are above the age of 18 years, 18 or above the age of 18, they have the right to vote. This is universal adult suffrage, and they will elect their representatives in elections through votes, and those leaders or those elected representatives, they are accountable to the people. So what does parliamentary form of government means? It is a form of government wherein the leaders of the country who will rule, who will make the government, they are elected by the people through universal adult suffrage, and these elected representatives are accountable to people. Accountable means they are answerable to people. They are answerable for every action, whatever they are doing, they have to answer to the people for all their actions. This is parliamentary form of government. Next, separation of powers, this we will do in the next video. Till then, you should read about all these two features and the stories which are given in your book. The story of Nepal, the classroom story, and one more story is there. So you should read about that and revise all these things. If you have any doubt, you can ask me. Okay, so take care. Bye bye.